Hello, today we are going to talk about not only one of the most important bands for me personally, but one of the most influential and important bands in hard rock history in general. So Deep Purple quite unexpectedly got us a new album last month, and it is called =1. It was very well received by fans, and I would say at the moment it was a little bit overrated, overhyped, but yes, it is a very great album, and I would probably say maybe the best one from the modern era. So I will try to give my honest opinion about this album today. So talking about Deep Purple, first what we have to talk about is my perception about Deep Purple, because it has a lot of different albums with a lot of different lineups. So as a majority of Deep Purple fans, I think I am the fan of MK2 lineup, which got us legendary albums like In Rock, Machine Head, and I also love the Perfect Strangers album. Even though Machine Head has most well-known hard rock songs ever written, my personal favorite is In Rock album, because it has a little bit more raw production, it has a little bit more raw power in it. If I have to choose one Deep Purple album, it would be In Rock. But what we should compare with is Steve Morse era albums, it's post 1996 albums, and I am not a very huge fan of this era. It has some good albums in it, but I don't think Steve Morse was ever a best option for Deep Purple as a guitar player, because Deep Purple was always riff-orientated band, and Steve Morse is more like a improvisational solo guitar player. He's no good riff master, and that's the thing that Deep Purple lacked in this era. Although my favorite album from that era is Now What. I think it was the best one from that era. I am not a fan of latest albums, Infinite and Whoosh. I don't think I ever finished those albums twice, but now the things change a little bit, because Steve Morse left the band due to family tragedy, and they announced a new album with a new guitar player, Simon McBride, which I thought will be a little bit more like a session guitar player, and I didn't expect anything, just for them to finish the tour. But they actually put out a new album, and it was actually very well marketed with some great singles, which gave us a lot more hope, and it was a lot of Simon McBride involvement in it than we could have expected. So I do confirm that Simon McBride is a star in this album. He really gives the most interesting performance in this album, but all the guys plays great, and yeah, it is a little bit more riff orientated than the Steve Morse era albums. From engineering point, Simon sounds a little bit more like Steve Morse, but he has a lot of interesting riffs and licks here. So the album starts with a song called Show Me, which is not the best song on the album. It is more like intro track for me. I am not overwhelmed by this track, but it was okay beginning. But the second track, a bit on the side, we get a very interesting riff. We get nice classic Ian's lyrics. It's one of my favorites in the album. Later we have a lot of classic Deep Purple moments as well, because songs as a Sharpshooter, Old Fangled Thing, Now You're Talking, it has some really classic Deep Purple verses, which I didn't expect to have in this album. It's really memorable tracks. There are only a few skippable tracks on the albums. The singles, Portable Door and Lazy Thought, is very worth mentioning, because Lazy Thought probably is best track in 3 decades of Deep Purple. It has great solo duos by Simon McBride and donairey, which is very Deep Purple thing. Great work from all the band, as well as Portable Drawer, which is a bit of homage to Pictures of Home. Ballads, I'm not really a fan of ballads, but they are great. Pictures of You, it's one of the best written Deep Purple ballads in a long time as well. As I mentioned, it has a few fillers. It's not bad songs, it's mediocre songs, and he has some new things because of Simon, because he's more like a heavy player. Bleeding Obvious, for example, the beginning is very Iron Maiden. I wouldn't expect that from Deep Purple, but it's amazing to have that. They are still looking for new things in their sound, which is fantastic for a band who plays for such a long time. Iangillan, the singer, is close to 80 years old now. He actually lost his high range in the 80s already, but he sounds really good in his mid or low range. So let's be frank, his voice is old, but he uses it very wisely. His lyrics are very clever here. He gives us a lot of different things here. The most respectable thing that I don't think he uses autotune at all, because a lot of old bands like the Rolling Stones, for example, Jagger's voice really had some autotune there, and I really hate that. And I really respect that Iangillan, he's not afraid to sound old. He uses it wisely, and all those rough around the edges moments are very heartwarming for me. So a big high five there for Iangillan. And as I said, all the band works great, like Ian Pace, Iangillan, Glover, donairey is a great keyboard player. And as I said, the biggest surprise here is Simon McBride, and he made this album very special. It is the most special album from the modern era, as I told. Ranking this album, when it came out, people just, they called it classic. They give high ratings like 9 out of 10 and so on. I don't think it's 9 out of 10. I mean, come on, these things are 9 out of 10 and it's classic. I don't think that homage to Pictures of Home or Highway Star can be rated the same as the original tracks, but I do agree it is worth a high score. 7 out of 10, it can be really important and respectable work. So 7 out of 10 in my scale, and if you still didn't listen to it, I highly recommend it, because it will be one of the most noticeable albums this year, and it is great work from one of the most influential bands ever, so don't miss it. I wish Deep Purple would have left at least 5 albums left to release for us, but I don't think they will do that much. At least one more album would be great, because they are back on the right track again, and that's cool. That makes me happy. I have forgotten